How could they do this? You know, I can't believe it. I should have expected this. You know, with Gen 9 coming out, this should have been expected. Anyways, hello. Guys, we're going to be talking about Breath of the Wild 2 for a second. I want to just first say this was totally expected. With the Gen 9 reveal saying that it'd come out in winter 2022, I think we all knew that we aren't going to be seeing Breath of the Wild 2 until next year, because that'd just be way too packed of a year. It was the most expected thing to come out of Nintendo in a while. I was just waiting for when they announced it, and they clearly weren't going to announce it in E3 because that'd be the most downer thing they would do. So it's kind of like the perfect time. If we didn't see it at E3, everyone would have been like, oh, where's Breath of the Wild? Guess it's not coming. So it had to be before E3. I'm down to wait for it. Don't get me wrong. You know, I'm acting mad, but like this game is getting more development time than Breath of the Wild 1. And this is supposed to be taking the assets from Breath of the Wild 1 and reusing them. And that is making me very excited for it. And we're not even having to wait that much of a time. It's spring 2023 is when it's coming out. They did say that they were aiming for 2022. We all just assumed, oh, that means it's coming out. So here's the thing about spring 2023. We got the Switch, the original Switch in 2016, 2017, I think. And I honestly think a Breath of the Wild 2 is done. Hot take, it's done. It's been done for quite a bit. The only reason they haven't released it is because they want to release it alongside a new Switch. This is all complete theory. I'm hyped that we're getting reused assets and they're adding more on top of the assets, 4 years worth more. So it makes me wonder, how much are they adding? They did say that the reason why we haven't seen the title is because it's a spoiler. This is my take on the title. Because it's a spoiler, I think we're gonna go back to the Twilight Dimension, and the Twilight Dimension itself is gonna be a whole new area. Because right now they said we have the ground, the sky, and more areas to explore. Groundside caves, I should say. It would be like Breath of the Wild, or the sequel to Breath of the Wild 2, or just Breath of the Wild Twilight Dimension, or something like that. I'm trying to think what would be so big of a title that they can't show it. What title would be a spoiler? I think this game is going to be a culmination of all Zelda properties. We're going to get like the convergence of timelines. We did mention that the timeline's all just a sham. It's whatever you want it to be, whatever. But they're going to combine them. We're going to see different aspects of Wind Waker. We're going to see Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword. Those three main games specifically. But then we're going to see callbacks to other games that they've introduced. I think they're combining Fi, or whatever her name, ain't doing too good. Fi, I don't know if she's going to be in the game. The Master Sword looks eerily like the Goddess Sword, which is the Master Sword. It's also broken. Speaking of, the small gameplay clip we saw has a super broken Master Sword. And I think the first half of the game is going to have us rebuild the Master Sword, because it's super smart if you think about it. If this is a sequel to Breath of the Wild, we already have the Master Sword. So Master Sword somehow breaks. We don't have it anymore. We have to start from scratch, yada, yada, yada. Super smart in that sense. Very hot take. Breath of the Wild 2 will never be as good as Breath of the Wild 1. Breath of the Wild 2 looks like it's more based on story. I think a lot of people want that though. I think a story-based Breath of the Wild game, people want to see that. Because they got all those people in to Breath of the Wild 1, and now the people that play Breath of the Wild 1 want to continue the story of Breath of the Wild 2. Also, when they say that the title itself is a spoiler, I also think they meant the logo too. The original Breath of the Wild logo had the Master Sword in it. So maybe this Breath of the Wild 2 logo has the Master Sword in it as well, and it's of course now in shambles. So that's why they didn't show it at first. Want it, but non-Nintendo fans can't care less about the story. Yeah, but it's like Breath of the Wild again. So they're like, oh, I want to play that game that I enjoyed last time. I am pretty sure at E3 we're gonna get the title, and we're gonna get whatever big kind of feature is for it, but not a release date yet. I'm gonna say it. I'm 100% sure that this is a launch title for a next generation Switch. But the next generation Switch is also backwards compatible and everything like that. I think the OLED is just something that put us off because they wanted to put something new out there because they couldn't. They just had to use all the stuff they had. Just think about it. If they're using different proprietary stuff for this new Switch. Of course, they want to get as rid as all the materials they used for the old Switch as possible. So they're using the Switch OLED to get rid of those materials. And then they're going to bring the new Switch. This is just getting onto what the next Switch is and when it's going to be and why. But enough about that. Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be a launch title for the new Switch. Okay, one last thing though. Without Breath of the Wild 2, we don't have a game for this year, a Zelda game for this year. Every year we normally have some sort of Zelda game. Do you guys think we could get, or the remasters, or just ports of Twilight Princess HD and Wind Waker HD? I would love Wind Waker on the Switch, to be honest. They're definitely gonna announce something at E3. It could be the rumored like mobile game, because they are shutting down a lot of mobile game servers. So in summary, Breath of the Wild 2 got delayed. I'm sad, but also happy. This is looking to be one of Nintendo's biggest games ever, with the most amount of content possible, because 4 years with an already basis game, like they didn't even have to design most of the mechanics. It's just gonna be great. And that's my thoughts on Breath of the Wild 2 getting delayed. As you guys can tell, I did do this live on Twitch, and if you want to be a part of those streams as they happen, don't forget to follow it at twitch.tv/craftytype1. Comment down below also what you guys thought of the delay. Are you mad? Sad? And don't forget to subscribe, because I've been doing a lot more content a lot more often. Anyways, I'm Crafty Type 1, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.